Hi there, welcome to FMCG by Alex. Today I would like to start a new series called A to Z in FMCG. So rhymes. And I would like to start with a overview of the life of a canvas salesman. So a salesman who goes door to door selling cash, to stores. This is the first video in a series of videos that I would like to take you through the entire value chain. So we cover initially the frontliners and then we go basically up to the brand owners. So, a day in the life. Basically, canvas salespeople can be of two varieties. One is they are freelancers, meaning they are working for themselves, so they also put their own credit at risk, their own cash at risk, basically. Sometimes they have agreements with wholesalers or distributors that they can actually return stock that they haven't sold. But so these guys are actually their own boss. This is a freelancer. These exist in many countries, so I'm going to focus on canvas salespeople who are selling to traditional trade in Indonesia. However, I'm currently living in the Netherlands, and in the Netherlands we also have a similar, uh, idea of canvas salesmen, basically. So people who are selling maybe to ethnic food stores, for example, cash. Now, normally, a canvas salesman starts to load stock. So either they have it at their home or they are going to a place like a distributor or a wholesaler that they are working with to load stock onto their motorcycle. So the motorcycle is actually something that they own or they rent or they get access to. And they have big saddlebags basically on the motorcycle, which they load with stock. Sometimes it's dangerous to drive, but they have that as a uh, yeah vehicle to actually transport stock. Now, depending on the situation, because canvas salespeople can be focused on very small stores, which are difficult to reach. So let's say Indonesia has what they call very small corridors where cars can go. So that is where these motorcycle guys actually go to sell stock to small stores. The idea in Indonesia, namely, is like there are millions of smaller stores, which they call, depending on where they are, R1, R2, R3 stores. So these are the classifications. So R1 are larger roadside stores. Basically, R2 is already more difficult to reach, more on a side street, and R3 are really like uh, not non-permanent stores, basically. So that's the idea that everybody can say, okay, I'm going to hack a hole in my house, or I'm going to open a window and I'm going to start a warung or a retail store, basically a small retail store. You see that in developing markets more, of course, than in the countries like the Netherlands. Netherlands, first of all, the climate is not so much that you can actually constantly open a window, and the second thing is there are a lot of regulations about what you can and cannot do in residential zones. So Indonesia is very open with regards to that. Everybody can open a store in their house, basically. Here in the Netherlands, of course, you can't do that because your neighbors will complain that there are a lot of people, or it will, ruin their view or something like that. Again, Indonesia has a little bit more flexibility in that sense, and basically, having said that, a lot of people there can actually earn their money with that. So, those are the stores that these canvas salespeople are going to. Now, in essence, they need to plan the route manually. So they normally have a routine. So this, let's say Monday to Sunday, basically, usually they sell 7 days a week, but Monday to Sunday, actually, they are going to go into different routes. So every day you have like 20 to 40 stores that you are actually going to visit. Usually they don't have digital tools. If you are hired as a canvas salesman, of course, you probably get the route from the distributor, from the principal of the distributor. So this is actually where your route actually goes, is determined for you. Um, Normally, Canvas routes are not entered into any system. So it's more like, okay, this general area, you go out, find 20 to 40 stores, and then, don't come back until you sold everything or you have so many transactions. So manually, they are actually still recording the transactions. So taking cash, I give you, let's say, 5 million rupiah worth of product. Now, then you need to come back with 5 million rupiah if your saddlebags are empty, basically. Now, then they are selling, of course, the products cash on delivery. So that is also because of these smaller stores, they are not able to guarantee that they're there tomorrow. So theoretically, if you sell on credit and you come back next month, they might actually have been, closed down and run away with your goods basically. And the that's the reason why a lot of this cash on delivery actually exists. Secondly, of course, there are things with quantities, where you say if someone is ordering smaller amounts of something. So we used to do this, for example, for ultra milk. Ultra milk is basically a large milk company in Indonesia. For those who don't know, that is the market leader. Now, we wanted to develop an area, then basically have stores that maybe are buying 3 packs of 125 milliliters. Now, the value of that is very small. So if you first have to take an order, then go back to the office, and then someone has to deliver it, now you're not making any money on it. In essence, you're not already not making any money on it when someone orders 3 pieces when there's a canvas salesperson on the way. But I mean, that's basically to take the problem out of having to have too many hands actually on the product. So these smaller deliveries are able to, you can break it up. Basically, smaller deliveries are actually viable when you go down every door in the street. Sometimes there is an element of credit. So if you are a canvas salesman and you actually come by a store and you have a good relationship with these people, then sometimes okay, pay next time, something like that, or they have a certain amount of credit, or bon as they call it. So in the end, bon is Dutch as well. By the way, Indonesia has history with Dutch language, obviously, but I mean the point is that it really depends a bit on the personal relationship. If you look at Canvas, in essence, sales, Canvas sales, cash sales actually means that cash has to exchange hands. Now there are examples where distributors actually had Canvas salespeople on the payroll, so actually going out and selling, where they use this credit system to actually embezzle money. So I've had several friends who own distribution companies that had problems with this. So if you are a distributor and you have this, you better actually have a good system in place to monitor this, and also better make sure that the Canvas salespeople that you trust with credit also are really trustworthy. In essence, this is something that normally would not be advisable. Like I mentioned, it's just too risky if you have to keep track of so many people and so many credit agreements. Now, then there, of course, are critical activities that Canvas salespeople need to do. So, in essence, when they are coming to a store, so hello, ma'am, I would like to sell you this product. Oh, I don't have money, or I don't have space. So those two things are basically an issue in various markets. Of course, space and stores are not made of elastic, but it can be a matter of I don't have money, meaning I don't think your product will sell quickly enough to convert to cash, or they really just don't have the cash in their cash register. That depends a bit on the time of the week you are coming. So let's say first time you come to a store and you are going to deliver, then what day are you actually collecting the cash to pay your suppliers? Now there are stores that have a more flexible approach. There are stores that say, okay, only every Thursday I'm buying new stock, or every Friday I'm buying new stock. Now that is basically where they have the cash in order to pay all these fees. And if you come on a Saturday or a Friday, and the idea was actually that it was a day before that you would be able to get the cash, then tough luck, they can't buy anything from you, even though there might be potential for your product. And of course, you need to be able to put it in a space where people can see it. If it's a small roadside stall, it's less exciting, of course. But let's say traditional trade stores in Indonesia are very crowded, so they have really some of these things where you say, okay, find anything that is almost impossible. They have things stacked on each other. It's like a big pile of stuff that they have put in the store. So unless you go in and you know exactly what you want to buy, it's difficult to find. So to have something at eye level, something that is visible. So branding and all those things, or at least the positioning of the product, maybe a shelf of, or position on the counter that is basically specifically for you. That can be something that you can either agree based on your relationship, or in some cases, principals are able to support it by renting this space. That means that they have someone from the company going there and actually agreeing, look, this space is only for ultra milk, for example. This is very rare. We've done this when I was at Ultramilk. We've done this as an experiment at that time, trying to rotate a bit. So in the end, you have you rent it for 2-3 months in one store, and then you actually rotate it to other stores. So everybody has, all the consumers that are coming to the stores actually have visibility in that particular outlet. It's just that we saw that as soon as you stop the financial support, of course, people are in some cases very disappointed, and also would not put your product in the same space anymore without the payment. So that's something has a plus minus in essence, and this depends a little bit on the person you're dealing with. Now, then of course you have offering bundles. So in essence, this is usually promotions that are, let's say, passed through by the distributor. So the principal has something. Okay, we're going to do a penetration program for general trade, the traditional trade in this case. So these small stores actually, I'm going to offer something. So buy 10 get one free, or maybe less, buy 5 get one free. It's usually at carton level if you're talking about larger stores, but as if you look at really canvas salespeople, then that means basically the distributor can offer a discount to the canvas guy, or give free stock basically to pass out in promotions. Now, then of course, when the sale has been made, so hello ma'am, I would like to sell this to you. Yes, sure, I would like to take 3 packs. Now, then you need to make a handwritten invoice, or basically delivery note in this case. Mostly these smaller stores, of course, are not tax, they don't have the tax threshold basically. So it's just a matter of like, look, this is what I sold. This is for my own administration that I've sold 3 pieces of this product to this store. So this is usually where traditional or local distributors are less stringent than, let's say, a national distributor. I've seen national distributors that are really so professional with regards to the way they are looking to open even a new outlet, that there are verifications and all sorts of things, which makes it very difficult sometimes for a salesman to open a new outlet. So a new outlet really needs a lot of, okay, you need to really put the outlet into the system. That is actually only for taking order salespeople. So people actually need to have credits at some point. So I take the order and it's delivered. So canvas salespeople, you actually just need to memorize where is the outlet, obviously, and they have some sort of rudimentary system where they put in maybe the address, but there's no credit checks. There's nothing basically that needs to be verified whether the outlet really exists, because you're selling to these people. Now, problem in some cases is that they make up an outlet. So meaning I sell to my neighbor, I still have some left, or I'm selling it to someone I'm not supposed to sell to, and then I'm making up a name and it's not verified. Now that's the thing that sometimes you can't really determine where the product ends up. So that is what the downside of canvas salespeople, I guess. Then, of course, they're carrying multiple brands and SKUs. Now, if it's a person who is hired by a distributor to bring specific items, that's a different story. But let's say freelancers, they are selling what their customers are asking for. So, can you bring next time this? Now, problem also with that is that sometimes when they reach your store, if you're a store owner, they might be out of the product that you're looking for. So that is one of the things that, balancing that particular SKU mix is a challenge. You might end up at the end of the day with things that you don't have anymore. Now, my sister-in-law, I'm married to an Indonesian. My sister-in-law is actually had a warung basically, and she had a system where she was buying ultra milk from a canvas salesperson because she was in a more rural area, basically. And at the end of the day, these people came by and the truck was empty. So it was a truck that they were using, but they had only things that were maybe slow moving items. So she would buy this product because there's nothing else left. So she wanted to still stock ultra milk, basically, maybe because she wanted to make sure I saw it. But the problem was that the ones she was asking for, the ones she wanted, were all gone. So that is the downside of actually Canvas, that the mix is always taking order. You can always deliver whatever someone is ordering. Um, and then, of course, yeah, you need to balance these personal relationships despite that. So sometimes you have one brand you're pushing, the other times there's another brand. So this is one of the things that you need to, yeah, really balance out with. Your personal relationship with this outlet owner. So one day you might be pushing brand A, and tomorrow you want to talk brand A out of the door because brand B actually is doing a promotion, and you are actually, as a freelancer, bringing brand B. So this is one of the things that you need to utilize your relationship in order to induce trial, especially new SKUs, new products. Hey, this is something that could work for you. Like I said, there are constraints in terms of financial capabilities of some of these store owners, where you basically have a problem convincing people to try something new, because something new means nobody has bought it yet. There is no historical experience with regards to, hey, this is actually moving. So um, for regards to canvas salespeople, it can be a gruesome day. Basically, it can be very long. You can basically start very early in the morning and you end up very late in the evening, and you still haven't sold everything. So there are it's quite a tough life, basically. So a lot of people actually start this and then give up because it's too difficult. Now, that is also linking me to the potential problems, basically. Then, of course, you have cash flow pressure, which is, in essence, if they have to buy it with their own money, yeah, then they need to quickly convert it to cash. Same goes, of course, for hired people, people who are actually hired as a canvas salesman for a brand. Of course, they have a target, they have an incentive that they need to earn with that target. So if you don't sell this much, you don't get your full salary. That is basically what it comes down to. The incentive is part of the salary in most cases, or they have a low basic salary and they need to earn that. So let's say our friend who we take as an example is someone who would actually really depend on that in order to pay for his daily needs, and this is usually minimum wage and then some, basically. So maybe usually the companies that hire him are actually doing this on a lower than minimum wage average. So it's very, very modest, and then they have to really earn it based on the incentive. So this is the cash flow pressure where, yeah, especially if they have to invest their own money, this could be very dangerous if you're actually buying things. So that's why most of these guys, even if they are working for themselves, they are having at least the agreement with the wholesaler or distributor that they can return the unsold goods. So the goods that actually they are bringing and haven't sold at the end of the day, they can return, and then they don't have to pay for that. So they can take a fresh batch in the morning. So you have to imagine that a lot of these wholesalers that they're working with, a lot of freelancers actually that have relationships with wholesalers. So not so much distributors, but more with wholesalers. So wholesalers are one step below the distributor. So you're talking about people who are actually selling in carton, also in basically two various outlets. So there are two systems. One is, of course, that smaller retailers come to this wholesaler and pick it up physically, or they deliver it. So delivery wholesaler. Now these freelancers that are connected to this wholesaler, it can be sometimes there can be hundreds of these guys actually who have this relationship with this wholesaler because the wholesaler is extending a credit or has this thing like, okay, you load up your motorbike or your car and you go to wherever you need to go in order to sell. And then at the end of the day, you can return what is not sold, and you basically you pay me for the product that you sold, yet you haven't returned, basically. So that is something that works quite well, and there are some very powerful wholesalers in Indonesia that can be used to really push products into the market. Having said that, yeah, wholesalers normally are quite passive, because people have to go there. So if you have a product that is not yet popular, wholesalers are not the channel normally. So if you want to utilize this as a brand owner and you would like to, let's say, okay, I have 100 salesmen, canvas salesmen who actually need to push this product into the market, you need to really go into this wholesaler and individually approach all of these canvas salespeople and say, in combination with the wholesaler, look, there's a promotion that we have done with this wholesaler. This wholesaler is going to arrange it with all these canvas salespeople that, you get a special incentive or a special discount, or whatever is needed to actually push this new product into the market. If you just put it into the wholesaler and hope these canvas salespeople are going to take it, yeah, new is always unloved, basically, and unknown. So therefore difficult to sell. Now, then you have, of course, always the problem with canvas sales. I already touched on it briefly with the example of our friend who is going to the small warung, basically the small stores, is carrying too much of the wrong product. So normally it's the wrong product mix that you're taking. So carry too much, it's waste. So you actually carry around stock that you haven't sold and you need to bring back. And too little is, of course, missed sales. So if you're out of the example of my sister-in-law, for example, is that she wanted to buy something that they didn't bring. So they must really guess and estimate what sells each day. So in some cases, they're also actually taking orders. Okay, next week I'm going to come here again, and I'll bring this. So that is normally based on the relationship that these guys are. Oh, you actually bring ultra milk? No, ultra milk. Actually, I need chocolate milk, for example. And last time you were out, now please bring me 2 cartons of that. Then you can use a guaranteed sale. Basically, it's almost like taking order, but then still cash. And then, of course, renting the display space. So in essence, it's not always a rental, but like I said, you have to sometimes offer money or free products or small incentives in order to secure the space. And normally it can also be on a relationship basis. Hey, boo or pa, this is your, ma'am or sir, this is actually something you is good for your store. You will sell a lot. Therefore, please do put it in your store at this spot that I guarantee it will sell. Now, that's again relationship thing. Now there are a lot of other brands out there, of course, that would like to have the same space. There's a lot of other companies that actually invest in canvas salespeople and have promotions running. So it's a battle. Then that comes to that. Yeah, it's also something that if you are not connected to a specific brand, so let's say you are not the ultra milk salesman that comes to that store, but you actually bring something that you yourself determine is then you have competition from other salespeople who might also want to bring a certain brand that you're already bringing and move in on your territory. Sometimes turf war to battle depends a little bit on the relationship then who gets the business. And of course, like I mentioned, it's tough. It's a really rough business. Basically, it's a rough job. You're basically driving maybe 8 hours in a day. You're carrying more than 50 kilograms of stock on your motorcycle. Now, it's basically also something you have to physically bring from your motorcycle to the store. Basically, there can be rain, there can be mud, there can be traffic, there can be accidents also. So there are a lot of examples of good people who actually have been in accidents and then were disabled or unable to actually continue their business. Now, normally these guys didn't go to college, and therefore, the options for employment are very limited. So, providing for the family. So you look at basically just like the warung owner, the small retail owner. Basically, these canvas salespeople are people who are living hand to mouth, and they need to actually take care of their family. So just to make sure that you are aware of the fact that this is a very tough job and deserves a lot of respect, in my opinion. So for these problems, of course, you have a good number of solutions. So normally, salespeople themselves also get incentives, like I mentioned, but you can also pass on incentives to retailers. So just a better spot, or give them a little bit better margin, or at the end of the year, you normally in Indonesia you have after Ramadan, the fasting month for Muslims. Basically, you have something called Idul Fitri, which is basically Eid Mubarak, the festive holiday for Muslims, basically, um, where the week before that, retailers are receiving like bonuses, or their what's they call THR, which is more like a specific bonus for just before the festive holiday. So because you've bought from me all year and the value of what you bought is so much, then I'm going to give you something extra. So that is basically the way brand owners, distributors, wholesalers, but also canvas salesmen in some cases are rewarding their customers. Like I've earned a lot of money from you this year, therefore I would like to give you a little bit of token of appreciation, so to speak. So this is quite common. It goes in every single thing. It can even be to the vegetable salespeople in the market, basically, who are giving, this sort of bonus to their customers who are buying from them every day. Then, of course, you have the smart bundling. So actually, this is something where you need to do thematic things to push volume. So Ramadan packs, usually it's based on a promotion. So if you look at thematic things in traditional trade, are normally not that successful because it requires a lot of work and the volumes are huge to actually push through. So it's normally a modern trade thing. But bundles can actually be like, okay, there are items that are moving faster during, for example, the Ramadan month. You bundle the fast-moving items with the slower-moving items, and you sell more together. So if you want this fast-moving item that is always out of stock, please do buy this also. This is actually where you have some value, basically. And of course, they need to do a lot of relationship investment. So in essence, a good friend of mine used to run a company that where he basically had salespeople that he always said, "Look, guys, as soon as you get invited to the birthday of the kid of the store owner, you are golden. So you are actually part of the family." Now, in essence, you need to just be, relationship focused. If you only come here, hey, how much do you want? I've got this product. This is very good. So people actually buy from people. Companies don't buy anything. Yeah? So if you're actually not liked and not likable, you need to work on that, because otherwise, sales is probably not your domain. So relationship is definitely something you need to invest in. Trust is also loyalty to people. So I can't actually, not buy from this guy because I really like him and he is really doing his best and he remembered my wife's birthday and he brought me something or something like that. So this includes also that loyalty bonus, of course, that you combination of tangible and intangible appreciations of friendship, basically. Then, of course, you need to be aware of the stock rotation. So, in essence, you need to do FIFO. In essence, you're talking about first in, first out, or FIFO, first expired, first out. So, in essence, you need to make sure that you monitor the expiry dates in stores. So, I've basically, as a brand owner, I've visited a lot of these smaller stores where I just bought on the spot the stock, gave them cash because there might be like 1 month left of expiry on something that is not sellable anymore, in our opinion. And we actually gave them some new stock, some fresh stock actually to sell. So in the end, if a retailer buys something from you cash, and in the end it's not sold in the store, so it actually expires on the shelf, that's actually, of course, a problem. They will not buy from you anymore because you only sell products that are not selling fast enough. So this is true in any country. So if you look at the Netherlands as well, I've sold here to supermarkets that had that perception. So you need to be aware of the fact that not like, hey, I sold it in and hey, this is it. So I wash my hands in innocence. No, you need to make sure that they also sell the product in the store. So Pushing a lot of stock into a store is therefore a big no-no. You need to really estimate what they need and be sure that they sold most of it. So if you actually sell in 10, you need to make sure that at least 6 or 7 are sold by the time you're back. Then there might be a reorder for 5. So if you are selling in 10 and there's still 9 left, then they will say, no, no, skip this time. I don't want this anymore. And maybe they won't even buy from you anymore because the cash conversion, so meaning the goods that they bought need to convert to cash in order to pay for the next goods and also for their own livelihood, of course. Yeah, you've ruined that for them. So that might really be a blow to your relationship with them. Now, then, of course, credit management discipline. So if you look at, there might be a problem when you mix friendship and business too much, meaning the same thing as, okay, I need to buy from this guy because I like him. I can't really ask this guy to pay because I know he's having trouble, or he's my friend. I don't feel comfortable asking for the money. Now, that is also one of the things that you need to basically be very aware of in managing salespeople, or if you are a kind of a salesperson, obviously, stick strict rules for this. So, okay, don't move that barrier basically. Then, finally, of course, if you're looking at which brands actually fit into which territory. If you are a freelancer, that is definitely something you want to do. Hey, this area they only buy, let's say, Indomilk. Indomilk is basically the one of the competitors of Ultramilk. Now, Ultramilk I don't need to bring, but they really want to buy Indomilk. Everybody's asking for that. Now then, you need to bring Indomilk basically as a freelancer. On the other hand, if you are working for Ultramilk and that's an Indomilk area, then you basically have an incentive to actually push in ultra milk through various promotions, etc. So this is something for the brand to look differently at as a salesman. So if you look at, I came from the brand perspective where, hey, this is where the competitor is strong, therefore I need to double up and make sure that I nibble their heels and make sure that people are converting slowly to ultra milk. Now, as a salesman, they actually say, "Oh, this is too difficult to sell. Therefore, I don't want to spend my time and energy on talking for half an hour to get in, 3 packs of ultra milk. If I can just sell a carton of Indo milk the moment I come into the store." This is a different thing. So you have to also look at brands. Of course, are having deeper pockets. They don't care about one store more or less, or they should not care about one store more or less in terms of financial gain. For this salesman, this is his livelihood. So in the end, if I, let's say, lose 2 stores in a day, that is quite significant based on what he loses in terms of sales and in terms of revenue, basically. So to imagine these people don't earn much, they work very hard for it, and yeah, therefore they want to sell what is easy to sell and what everybody wants. So actually making an effort to push things into the market, that is something that is more difficult and really needs a lot of work from the principal. Not just, hey, here you go, this is the product, bring it, sell it. If you have a lot of campaigns, marketing campaigns, and your product is already very popular in the market, and the only thing you need to do is expand the distribution, meaning there is some pull from the market, then you don't have to worry about that push. That is just a matter of bringing it. However, if you are a new brand or you are not popular in that area, like I mentioned the ultra milk versus inner milk example, then you need to really push, and then the investment is really on the side of the brand, not on the side of the salesman, obviously. Basically, I'm just going to give you my perspective as a brand, from the brand owner's perspective, basically. So final thoughts are that for brands, actually, Canvas salespeople normally are not a profit project. So we are actually using the Canvas salespeople that we hire as a crowbar, meaning I want to develop this area. You have to imagine that, in an area where maybe the competition is very strong, you have a number of wholesalers. These wholesalers are actually the ones that are servicing these smaller, R2, R3 outlets, basically, or maybe even up to R1 outlets. So all the smaller retailers, they come to this wholesaler and buy. If your brand is there in that wholesaler and they don't know, and there is no pull from the market, meaning there is no incentive for them to actually buy it, because they don't have demand from their own customers. In the end, it's a demand cycle. So there's no demand to the wholesaler because there's no demand from the retailer, and then the retailer has no demand to the wholesaler because there's no demand from his consumers. If nobody asks about their product, or it's not there and it's not selling, there's no historical data. Yeah, that is a corresponding vessel, basically, where the wholesaler will basically just have a bunch of cartons gathering dust. So what we used to do as a brand owner is that, so I want to actually have this area developed. So I am going to put 5 or 6 guys on motorcycles, canvas salespeople, and I'm going to let them sell cash. Um, that can be just like that, or you can connect a promotion to it. So, okay, you buy, for example, chocolate milk and you get free strawberry milk, or you get, like various products that are maybe faster moving inside Ultra Jaya, basically, with a very fast moving tea product, for example, RTD tea. So if you say, oh, you want this, then you also have to take this. So meaning like you expand the number of SKUs that they have in the store, because they might have been selling one but not the other. Now, the crowbar effect is that as soon as you put these guys out in the area, the stores will start stocking it. So it's slow. It's a slow burning process, because they will start with three becomes six becomes maybe 12 packs in the stores. It's not even a carton level. Especially these smaller outlets, R2, R3, they will never buy a carton. Basically, R3 is almost impossible to buy a full carton, or maybe be half a carton of product, basically. So that's why selling as a canvas salesperson, you need to be able to sell in pieces if you are really selling to small stores. Now, that is how you open the market, because at some point, when it's there, people start buying it. And when people start buying it, the demand grows, and the 3 packs become 6 packs, the 6 packs become 12, the 12 become 24, and hey, you have a carton already, for example. So this is where the salesman actually has a call cycle. A call cycle can be 7 days, can be 14 days. Normally it's a 14-day cycle, so they call it F2 in distribution jargon, so to speak. So every 14 days this salesman comes by, so he has to estimate how much stock is needed in 14 days. That's where the challenge comes in. So very difficult to do, namely, especially if you start with 3 pieces. Let's say, hey, it's actually gone after 1 week, and then the store has to wait for another week to for the salesman to come and say, hey, I would like to have 6 pieces instead of 3. Now, at some point, you will see that instead of waiting for this canvas salesman, these people are going to go to the wholesaler and buy. So, and then the canvas salesman sales will go down, because they already bought their stock from the wholesaler. So this is actually where you see some success in your development. So you actually kickstarted the market, basically. You opened the market in that sense. Now, this is something that is, again, it takes time. Can be 6 months, can be a year sometimes, or before you actually see any tangible results. But you need to be consistent. So this is actually where this comes in. Now, that's actually where you develop these wholesale volumes, and then at some point you can say, okay, now the Canvas sales project is done. We move it to another area. So then you go to the next area. You can invest your resource, because, like I said, it's never a profit project. So you can maybe break even if you're very lucky, but it's not going to really. With hired people, they're not going to sell enough to actually make it worth your while, and to keep them on as a full sales force, keep them on the payroll. So you need to basically move these guys around to another part of the city you're trying to develop. So this budget actually needs to be flexible. So now, what can happen to these guys, of course, is that you actually find to repurpose the good canvas salespeople can also become taking order salespeople. I'll go into that in a moment. Then, of course, you have freelancers versus these hired guns. Now, these hired guns I just described in detail, and the freelancers I described in detail before. So freelancers are people who work for themselves. Now, these guys need a little bit more of an incentive to actually bring your product, because they don't get a salary from you. They actually just get margin, or just get margin from the wholesaler they're working with. Now, these freelance guys actually You need to sway them a little bit. Hey, you have a jacket, or you get a new helmet, or even a new motorcycle if they really do very well for you. But I mean, in some cases, that is cost ratio is not is an issue. So basically, you're looking at yeah, promotions, getting incentives, getting sort of bonus actually if they sell, much basically for you. That sort of thing is for freelancers. You need to basically kickstart it a little bit. Then you have these hired guns, meaning that is the people you actually hire to do it. Now, when I say hired guns, it sounds very temporary because it is temporary. You're talking about 6-month contracts, 1-year contracts, maybe at most. Um, okay, then of course, I already went into this before, but it's the R1, R2, R3 classification. So, in essence, Canvas salespeople need to go to these R2 and preferably also the R3 retailers basically. So if you look at R1, Canvas salespeople can still go there, but then you would basically have trucks because these are normally main road outlets. So, and R1 is also something that are taking order salesmen, people who take orders and then later on it's delivered, so they get really exactly what they ordered. So that's something that you need to basically keep in mind. So these R2, R3 outlets are the ones that are going to wholesalers to buy their goods, especially the R3, the smaller outlets that are maybe 1 million or more in Indonesia to cover, maybe more than 1 million basically. If you look at is it a profession for everybody? No, it's actually very high churn rate for employees. There's a lot of people who actually start and they have no clue how to sell. They don't get any training, and of course, you have very experienced salespeople who are freelancers, but some people are born salespeople, and some people actually say, "Oh, I don't know what else to do. I will go into sales." Sales actually doesn't have really a specific education in Indonesia. So if you look at no kid actually in high school, or in primary school, will say, "I want to become a salesman." Normally, they have other dreams, basically, and in essence, they end up in sales because maybe there is no other option, or they get an opportunity to do it, and then they give up after a while if it's too difficult. So the high churn rate for employees is really a fact that sometimes also difficult to find new people. And I have to also say that because of the fact that these people are very easily replaceable, the amount of training invested in these people is very limited. So there are brands actually that do some training, maybe let them take an exam or something like that. And again, my friend who is a distributor, she said actually that it's very nice that the brand owner does that, but I said as soon as they walk out the room, it's all gone. Like it's already it's a necessary chore that they need to do basically. So um, having said that, I do believe in capability building, but if you don't know whether these people will still want to do it tomorrow, I can also imagine investing in capabilities of people that might not work for you tomorrow is maybe considered to be dangerous, of wasting capital basically. Now, I already touched on this before also, but normally if you're a good canvas salesman, you can become a taking order salesman. So normally teams like Canvas teams, they have a supervisor. A supervisor is actually someone who checks whether there are any abnormal things in the channel, or maybe it's a more experienced guy who's actually doing the rudimentary training and checks whether there are any problems in the outlets. Now, taking order salespeople also have a supervisor who does that, so they are also responsible for if the administration is not in order, they chase the salespeople. So that is one way of being promoted to that. But if you're a very good canvas salesman and you're not supervisor material, then you can also transition to taking order. That basically means that instead of bringing the product and selling cash, taking cash back to the distributor and getting paid, you actually are a taking order salesman who is actually taking orders which are delivered later by a separate delivery guy. So in some cases, taking order salesmen also deliver themselves, but mostly it's just the salesman and the delivery guy are two different people, and the collector is also someone else. So just to avoid any problems with money money being lost on the way. Again, you might think this is something that is an issue that I'm overstating or exaggerating here, but you have to imagine if these people have a very difficult life, they're working very hard to actually make a living. Then sometimes temptation can also be that, hey, there is money to be taken. How much can I get today? Can I actually grab an opportunity to corrupt money? Then it takes a very honest person in order to basically resist that temptation. So um, especially if you have, for example, a family that is maybe not having enough food, or your kids need new shoes, or to pay school fees or something like that. So I'm not judging here, therefore. Stealing is wrong. I am very, very much against that. But, like I said, you basically need to keep good people honest. That is what I'm trying to say here. So I have to say, like, there are a lot of good people who might be tempted needlessly by, faulty systems in distributors. So that's the thing. Um, and of course, like I mentioned, different vehicles can be used. So if you are looking at larger outlets, main road items where cars can go, you can actually use a truck, a small truck basically. There are quads also that are being used on wet markets where actually they are stuck in the mud or something like that. Motorcycles, all sorts of different trikes actually are also things that I've seen being used. It really depends on where the outlets are. So if you look at rural areas in Indonesia, sometimes people really have to go through rough terrain to reach another population center. Therefore, yeah, different vehicles need to be used. Um, then it's sometimes it's difficult to actually do route optimization. But I mean, if someone actually needs to make a living, or you actually have you hired people basically to do this for you, you need to make sure that the route is actually most logical. People have a chance to actually achieve their incentive, achieve their target basically, and make their incentive. And you need to make administration also easy. So, like I said, most of these canvas outlets are actually not in the system. So, as soon as you actually have outlets that have potential, for example, to become a taking order outlet, so meaning from buying cash, they actually buy so much that it could be graduating to a promoting to a taking order outlet. You need to also make work of it, that the administration is actually in order to actually move it from a canvas route into a taking order route. The canvas salesman will not be happy, obviously, but I mean, this is where you're trying to use it as a feeder for your taking order route. Now, don't have the illusion that all of your canvas outlets will be taking order outlets, because, like I said, R1 outlets, yes, maybe R2 is a bit of flip a coin, and you will know. R3 outlets definitely are never worth it to put into taking order, because the quantities are simply too small, and you basically just want them to start buying from wholesalers. Now, if you see sales slump and other brands actually doing these penetration projects, then you might want to rinse and repeat. So you actually are supplanting the other brands again with your own in another canvas project. So you have to imagine that if you could get the idea, most of the other companies do get the idea as well. This your competitor is planning exactly the same thing in their office with their team, and they have the same problem when you are actually grabbing their market share. They also see declining sales, and they need to act on it. So for every reaction, there's an equal counter reaction, basically. Just how effective, of course, depends a little bit on how they fly the plane, so to speak. Now, in order to optimize the route of canvas salespeople, like I said, it's difficult sometimes to do this for your own people if you don't have this administration part locked in. But that's why I would say, like, route optimization, like you have a certain area of a city that you are covering, and sometimes it's worth it to actually just join visit with these guys. Okay, let me follow you. Let someone from the company follow you, or let the supervisor follow you, to see where you're going and how you're doing it, and maybe we can help you sell more. That's actually the the way you should frame it rather than checking up and controlling people. So this is, I think, my final thoughts on the subject. Like I said, canvas salespeople can be, especially in developing markets, can be very powerful tools. If you're looking at developed markets, like I said, in the Netherlands, you have people who sell to ethnic food stores, and that's also usually cash, or to market sales people, basically people on an open market. Like normally in the Netherlands, you have, like on a Wednesday or on a Saturday, they have people with market stalls. That's a bit like a relic from ancient times, where they mainly sell fresh items, but these people sell a lot of different items, so therefore, there is an opportunity there as well for certain products to actually gain distribution in those that sort of product. I've done this before as well. Combination of taking order and also selling canvas to various sources. Having said that, developing markets or emerging markets like Indonesia, it's a very common thing where you can really use this to open the market for your brand. If you are have a lot of budget to invest in this, then working with your distributor, letting your distributor manage the canvas sales team. So you should not do that yourself, but you let the distributor that you appointed do that. But you actually need to pay the distributor the cost, or your cost share, whatever the agreement is. And they actually do the administrative part. So any management of these people and also the recruitment actually is the responsibility of the distributor, because they already have the infrastructure and also the stock, of course, on hand. So this is something that you can utilize to actually propel your brand to greatness. And like I said, it's very good if you rotate it, because we had a lot of success with that in Ultra Jaya. So Ultra Milk has developed several areas that we were previously weak by actually doing this with canvas salespeople. So at that time, my colleagues, some of the guys are still there. They will still remember that we decided to, develop, for example, the Medan area in North Sumatra, which is also an area which traditionally is a Frisian flag area, which is not an Ultra Jaya area, but again, sales actually really were developing quite well when we initiated this project in combination with modern trade promotions, obviously. But I mean, the traditional trade in Indonesia is, especially for this sort of product, is maybe 70-80% of the total volume still is sold through traditional trade. And if you're looking at what kind of products really sell well in traditional traders, of course, it's the cheaper items. So you're talking about maybe maximum a 6,000-7,000 rupiah price point. So the best price point to hit is about 3,000, I think, 3,000-4,000 maybe at this time, in order to make sure that the volumes are there, that it's actually moving through. So this is where the maximum price point to actually be interesting for traditional trade. And don't get me wrong, it goes up to 10,000, but it really depends on the product. That is actually where snacks, beverages, you have certain brands that are only traditional trade, so they actually don't sell in any supermarkets. They actually only sell into traditional warungs in Indonesia, and they are highly successful with that sort of product because the products are just very cheap, and basically people know it as a traditional trade product, and it's just the distribution is actually very broad through this massive amount of outlets. Just to give you an impression, the estimate is about there are 2.5 to 3 million traditional trade outlets in Indonesia, and about 40 to 45,000 supermarkets, which includes all the mini markets of Alfamart and Indomaret. So just to see how it dwarfs the modern trade outlets, basically. That should also give you an impression of how powerful it is when you activate this through a canvas sales project. Thank you. Thanks for watching. Please don't forget to like and subscribe. Please also follow us on Facebook, on Instagram, and on LinkedIn. Feel free to email me if you need more information on this. Is alex at devriessalesconsultancy.com. Like I said, this is the first in a series of A to Z in FMCG videos that I actually am producing. The next one will be about the retailers that this guy is selling to, the kind of a salesperson. So stay tuned for next week and see what happens next.